Hello, everyone. It's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and welcome to the Wasteland Watchlist, my weekly show where my guest and I, we take a film off my obscenely large or completely random and wild watch list of movies and, have some fun with that. And joining me is Renaissance woman, filmmaker, mother, Anna Campbell. Thank you so much for coming on.
Lady of utter nonsense. Yeah, that's just who we are, right? No, it's so nice to be back. It's so wonderful always to chat with you.
Absolutely. And we will be talking about a Harold Lloyd film from 1919, From Hand to Mouth. He does a lot of running.
There is
Um,
so much running. It is a high running quality film. Yes.
I am not surprised this man was so lean.
Yeah,
Um,
right?
he was doing a lot of
Starving artist at
exercise.
its best, right?
But this film was released December 28th, 1919. So this is almost a 1920 film.
Yeah.
And the runtime is 22 minutes, so a nice bite-size amount over on YouTube. There's
Yep.
probably like five different versions that you can watch on different YouTube channels. This is directed by Hal Roach, who made quite a few films with Harold Lloyd, and also starring Mildred Davis, and the two of them got married shortly after this
I
film
didn't
in
know
real
that. I
life.
did I did not do enough historical research. That's so delightful.
Well, that's about it.
Yeah.
That's about the historical research that I have. But the last thing is the print of this survives at the British Film Institute. So
Ah,
fun little fact. But yes, so apparently their on-screen chemistry was real because they got married. But a penniless young man tries to save an heiress from kidnappers and help her secure her inheritance. What a fun, random, weird concept for a rom-com back in 1919.
I guess that
Uh,
would be yeah, that is the right categorization for it, isn't it? I had a little trouble because the story is, to put it mildly, light in favor of slapstick comedy. And obviously that's what he's known for, so that's not super surprising, I
well,
suppose,
it's
right?
funny because this is listed as an action comedy on IMDb, and to be fair, there's a lot of action in it.
Yeah. And it's
Um,
funny, so yeah, I guess that makes sense.
and
That's amazing.
just a kind of a romance.
Yeah.
Um, they connect at the end.
Yeah, I guess, and but it's certainly not set up initially to be a romance, right? So he's penniless, and then he's just vaguely nice to her, and she stands up for him, and then the utter nonsense ensues though, because he ends up sort of bizarrely shoved back into her life because he's being taken advantage of by the robbers, and
Yes.
like it doesn't make any sense when you actually say it out loud. Like I think that's
So,
that's it's not even a complaint. It's just like it doesn't matter so much, right?
so point number one.
Yeah.
Wow, man, what a low bar you set. He's just kind. And, that's it. That is all she needs. And
That's
she's
it.
like, this penniless man, I'm going to share my inheritance with. But I guess the plot here is like the plot sets up where it's like this woman has this inheritance.
Right.
But if she doesn't claim it by special time o'clock,
Midnight
um,
o'clock, I think it was.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
where it's just like, this arbitrary time where it's just like, nope, if you don't claim this, because we need some kind of ticking time for this plot.
But I
And
couldn't. Right. Like I had this moment, Shane, where I was like, what do you mean claim your inheritance? Like, do you have to produce a will? Do you have to like find a document that says it's really intended to be yours? Because the title card, right? So it's silent. So we're
yeah,
reading, the four bits of information they deem worthy. And I always get cracked up by what they do decide to spell out for us,
yeah.
versus what they don't, which is most of it. And so if she doesn't come to claim her inheritance and provide some version of documentation, it goes to her foster brother, who is a non-entity in the film. Am I right? Did I miss him completely? Like,
Well, like there's this group
uh-huh.
that's
Yep.
obviously trying to get their hands on this inheritance.
Yes.
And so like their whole entire thing is if we kidnap her and she can't get there,
Yes.
then we could get that money.
Oh, so is one
And
of them the foster brother? Did I literally miss this plot
I
point?
think so.
Oh, okay,
And
okay. That makes
but
somewhat more
then
sense.
so then you have this whole completely other subplot here with Harold Lloyd, who,
Yeah.
I guess is supposed to be your lead, but he's not even like part of the main story until halfway through the 22 minutes. And
Yeah.
he's poor, he's penniless. He has this young girl, they're just trying to get food.
Yeah.
And he gets on the wrong side of the cops. But then like they run into each other, they have this connection, but then he runs into the wrong people, the kidnappers,
Yep.
and they're like, come with us, and they're like, we're totally gonna um
Yeah.
frame
The
him for all
sidebar
of
is
this.
we can make him, he's such a buffoon. Basically, we can make him take he'll be the fall guy, right? It's like, oh,
Yep.
that's completely also random, right? To the actual plot. I do feel like focusing on the plot is probably never going to have been the actual point of this movie, but it is funny to actually try to pick it apart and say it out loud because it's
Yep.
pretty incidental and accidental and not actually very logical at all.
Well, no, it
A
is
long
very
way.
accidental how this all pieces together. And then honestly, the two biggest selling points is like he has this chase from the cops,
Yeah.
and then you have the big chase at the end
Yep. Also with
where
cops.
with more cops and the
So many
kidnappers,
cops.
and there's a giant brawl
Yep.
of a whole
Yep.
bunch of people beating up each other, and they just slip on out. They're all brawling, and they slip on out and get the inheritance, and it's just like
And
off
everything
into the
works out in
sunset.
the end. Yeah.
Yep.
I'll admit I'm not super confident in my knowledge about slapstick comedy of the era. Obviously he's so deeply renowned as one of the forefathers of filmic comedy, and it's
Yeah.
amazing to watch. We must reward, as much as this plot sounds like absolute insanity, the physical comedy is truly spectacular. It's really something to be noted, and really you see how we got from that comedy to maybe not anything right now. I was trying to think of something that's a current comp, and I really, comedy is struggling certainly in the movie theater these days, so maybe
Yeah.
that's part of the reason for it. But it's truly amazing to watch him go straight from like commedia dell'arte and the full buffoonery and the absolute clown to figuring out a way to make it translate to film and use the camera pretty effectively to show off
Mhm.
his incredible physicality. But I don't know. Do you know anything about how this fits into the rest of his work, which I'm not familiar with, tragically?
Well, because I've done a lot of digging with like my little film class I'm doing
Yeah.
and one of my podcasts about film history.
Yeah.
He's one of like the three big physical comedians that really changed film and really made comedy a viable genre. Because like
Mm,
when you don't have sound, you can't make jokes
yeah.
and stuff like that in the same kind of way. You can have some fun editing with like the title cards and throwing a joke here and there, but
Sure.
like you have to lean onto physical comedy. And all three of them were so very different because Chaplin obviously is the most famous, the most renowned out of all of them, but he had a persona. He had the tramp.
Yes.
He's
Yeah.
channeling all of that through this character. And then Buster Keaton was old Stoneface. It was non-reacting
Yeah.
everything that made it so interesting in the physicality. Harold Lloyd's the most accessible
Yeah.
out of the three of them because he plays actual human beings that are
Yes.
like defined people. He has emotions, he expresses himself, and he's kind of charming with,
Totally charming.
his round glasses and everything. And so I've seen a few of his late 19 teens films,
Uh-huh.
and I've seen, like Safety Last and College. Nope, is that Buster Keaton? He
See,
also
it
did a
all
movie when
blurs
he
a little
went to
bit.
college.
Yeah.
Um, Apparently college playing football was because like Harold Lloyd
It was funny.
is the one that like he you can connect with him
Yes,
on
you
some
can.
level. And I think that makes him unique
Yeah.
amongst the three of them. And here we feel for him because
Yes.
he's penniless, he doesn't have anything. And they tried to set him up for this, and you feel for him, and it's just like, oh,
Yes.
well, good for him. He
Yes.
found a lady and they found money. So good for him.
100%. He's downright adorable. Like I'd run the like it's a little awkward to say he's actually cute, but he's a handsome man, and
Yep.
he does a brilliant job actually, plot aside, of setting up sympathy for himself by caring for the little girl,
Yeah.
Is their relationship ever defined? I feel like they're just sort of two tramps out there in the world. Like it's not defined that
Yeah.
she's his daughter or anything like that.
Mm.
But she comes back at the
Oh no,
end and
because
is
she
part
just
of the
like,
solution. Yeah,
yeah,
she's just kind of there. And then he also does the dog, and he has the hilarious moment where the he sees the curtain move and it turns out to be a cat underneath, and he stops all of his burglaring and picks up the cat and plays with it for 20 seconds. And you're just like, this person is my hero, right? I mean, as
yeah.
an animal lover myself, I'm like, you're just the cutest thing that ever was. You forget about the break in that you just performed and play with that cat, please. That's so cute. Right?
It's like you're trying to save this woman,
Yeah.
get in this kidnapper's lair. It's like, nope, play with cats.
Yeah.
Um,
And eat a meal
and
and have some wine.
and the big thing is he's very expressive when he's doing all this physical comedy. And it's that iconic kind of recurring gag of the running at the camera, pulling back down the street, where it's just like this man is running for his life.
Yeah.
And you get a kick out of it, but like he's going up on fire escapes and doing all these types of things, and it sells. And
Yeah.
when you have a 22-minute movie and what you're really trying to sell is physical comedy,
Yeah.
they spend a decent amount of time, especially in the second half of it,
Yeah.
really selling that. And it's a lot of fun. It's exciting. And, you know, I think a lot of people today don't appreciate slapstick as much
Yeah.
because, like, I'm trying to think of actors that do slapstick very well today. And, like, it's interesting, like, one of them's Ryan Gosling,
Yes.
honestly. And
Yeah. Who's willing to even go there and let themselves get to the point of ridiculous? I mean, we had a
yeah,
really good run of it in the 90s and the early aughts with the Will Ferrells and the people coming out of SNL who were truly able to translate these pretty big broad characters to the
yeah.
big screen and sell large amounts of tickets with ridiculous films like Anchorman and Talladega Nights and right. I'm trying to think of who else would fall into that category, but right now today it's like we have to protect ourselves completely. And we know that comedy doesn't translate to a global market the way that drama can, because jokes just don't cross borders the same way because of the language issues.
Well,
But this kind does.
and that's the thing about physical comedy, it does.
Yeah.
Um, you don't need to know a language to know that somebody like falling
Yeah.
on something is
Always
funny.
funny. Yeah.
Well, and one of the best physical comedians that's still alive and still actually performing is Jackie Chan,
Yes. Yes.
because like he took all the martial arts and leaned into the comedy of it.
Yeah.
And he still makes movies in China, and I occasionally get screening links for them.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
and it's fun,
Yeah.
like still watching him do his thing. And but it's like you don't have a whole lot of like comedy today. I think the majority of them are like indie comedies that are much more leaning into like the dialogue of it all.
Yes. Yes.
Except um what the hell was it called? Um it came out, there was a stretch in late August into early September in 2025 where there was a string of indie comedies
Uh-huh.
like The Baltimoreans and Twinless, and this one, it had Dakota Johnson in it. I'm trying to remember because the
Oh,
reason I'm
oh,
bringing
the
it up,
one, the relationship one. Yeah.
because I'm
Oh, what
bringing
was
it
that one
up
called?
because there's a whole entire
Fight
like
sequence? Yeah.
10-minute like
Yes.
slapstick fight sequence of
Break an
these two
entire
friends.
room. What is that movie called? Oh my gosh, I did see this one actually.
Splitsville, that's it.
Splitsville, yes. Which
Yes.
not my favorite movie of the year by any means, but you're right. That was one of the last times in a pretty major release, at least it was pushed hard, right? That I
Yeah.
remember seeing something this broad. That's so funny. Good
Well,
call.
and those creators made the film The Climb that came out during COVID, and the whole crux of it was, if I remember correctly, the one friend admits to his friend that he's sleeping with his wife while they're riding bikes up a hill.
Oh my gosh.
And so, like, the physical comedy of the one friend who's much bigger and out of shape trying to ride his bike and catch up with the other one to grab
Well, there,
him.
that's
And
amazing.
like you don't see that as much.
No.
And that's so much, like, there's a lot of fun that you can have with that. And I guess I think slapstick comes off too old fashioned. And that's a shame because, like, outside of I feel like slapstick, especially in the 90s into the 21st century, has turned into a lot of like, heavier comedians
Yeah.
flopping around. Like Melissa McCarthy does a lot of that
Yeah.
kind of stuff, and like Chris Farley did a lot of that kind of stuff.
Totally true. Yeah. But that way it does feel like it's been a second. And I wonder also, comedy is definitely, for me at least, easier to digest in smaller bites, right? It's hard to keep a story alive for me when you're trying to get me to laugh the entire time. And that's not to say I don't deeply enjoy the comedies, but I understand why it was easier for them to get co-opted. And I'm wondering if it's, obviously the YouTubes where there's super shorts. And I think also when reality TV came in, and even we'll go back as far as like the America's Funniest Home Videos, right? Those are
Yeah,
all slapstick moments for
that
sure.
and
And
Jackass,
Jackass
I
was
feel
exactly
like,
the next thing I was gonna say, right? It's like, oh,
well,
they might have just taken that genre and like run with it and like, oh yeah,
they kind
real
of
people are getting
co-opted.
hurt. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. That's
And
funny.
like, am I
Yeah.
excited for the next and final Jackass movie? Especially after Jackass Forever, where I almost choked on my mask
Oh my
laughing in the
gosh.
theater watching that movie. I needed a good laugh at that point. Um,
That's
and
amazing. I never saw it, I will admit. I will admit.
um, I actually got to interview a wee man in Preston
Oh my gosh.
in promoting that movie, and they're a wild bunch for
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
And like that is very true. I'm like, where do I, and this is gonna sound so bad, where do I see most of my physical comedy that I laugh at are reels and stuff
Yes.
like that of like
Yes.
parents posting like
Yes.
kids doing
Yeah.
like falling or like hitting into something and just
When I
like,
wouldn't maybe it's also just easier to laugh at something that someone is like willingly sharing with you or something. Do you know? Like it doesn't seem
yeah.
false. It seems like we understand that this is, a thing that's gone too far and that's crossed over a line and therefore laugh at it with us. Otherwise, it's so tragic, right? As most good comedy is, like push the envelope all the
Well,
way to the
and as
end.
long as you
So,
know
yeah.
that they're okay in the end, you could have a
Yeah.
good laugh with it.
Yeah.
And like I swear I probably get like at least 10 of those a day from my brother.
Oh, that's
um
so funny. Yeah,
Reels
exactly.
being sent over,
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
that's actually an interesting point. Maybe
Yeah.
physical comedy is just shifted into, and that's the challenge in general, is like YouTube shorts and TikTok and
Yeah.
stuff like that. um as my graduate assistants at work are trying to turn me into an Instagram star with all types of videos. I'll have to send you.
I'm so excited. Oh my gosh, send them all. This is amazing.
um it's a fun page to follow, Rider University Academic Success Center. But it's
Yeah.
like that's where a lot of humor comes in.
Yeah.
And working with 18, 19, 20-year olds, a lot of them are more likely to just watch a bunch of short videos than,
Oh yeah.
watch a movie, which
Yeah.
makes me sad.
Oh yeah. For
Apparently,
those,
even this
yeah.
22 minutes would probably be too long for them, which, like,
I'd be so curious to put this in front of them and see what they say. I'm having another moment where I'm wondering, and this is these, as you know, Anna does not form ideas before she actually gets here. She writes down three notes about the movie and then is like, "Oh, here's a thought." I'm also wondering if our world that is starting to protect the little guy makes it harder for comedy. And I think this is obviously I'm like pro making sure everybody gets a chance and no one's
hmm,
getting bullied and all of these things, but I wonder if the lines that we could cross very broadly back in the day would not be funny anymore. There I've shown my kids a couple of movies where I'm like, "Oh, yeah, we don't make gay jokes like that anymore, obviously, right?" And they're like, "Yeah, obviously, right?" And they don't
I
laugh at those parts of the film. And so I wonder if our fabulous, world where we're trying to prevent these things from happening, it's harder to make fun of somebody outside of yourself, and so it's much safer to stay in that world. So our SNL, figures who are still willing to go out there and be broad are effectively always turning the joke back on themselves, and it's much harder to laugh at somebody appearing to get hurt or making fun of a group that's not your own or any of those. I hadn't thought about it in those terms before, but it's interesting to see where it fits into the world.
Well, that's always the interesting thing about comedy. Has evolved so much over time,
Yeah.
and we certainly are in a very specific moment.
Mm,
And you know, especially with social media, everybody could be a comedian.
yes.
Where it's like, who made me laugh today?
Yeah.
The random Irish influencer that I follow on Instagram because he's hilarious.
Yes. Send me
And
that
like
too, please.
that kind of stuff
Yeah.
is like where a lot of the laughs come from. And maybe people are maybe a lot of people don't need to go to a theater for like 90 minutes to watch a movie to
To
get
feel a
laughs
little
out of
better.
it.
Yeah.
Well, and that's a very interesting thing and how things have evolved. And also, not would rather just wait. And there's also that I've noticed, especially with a lot of my college students, there's a lot of concern about being judged. And
Mm.
and it's just like, do you want to go out in public and be the one person laughing at a thing and realizing that should I have not have
Oh,
laughed at that?
interesting.
Because not gonna
Because
lie,
we're so used to filming ourselves and putting everything up on there, it's like, do I want them to be making fun of me? How is this going to come across? And they're almost overthinking it. Interesting.
it's so funny because my brother and I were one of the few people laughing at Django Unchained when the folks went to go see that. I'm like, you know, people seem disgusted when they were making jokes about the Ku Klux Klan and not being able to see out of their eye holes. But
Definitely
it's
meant
like,
to be funny, though. Definitely
yeah,
meant to be funny. Yeah. Yeah.
we thought it was funny. I laughed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just like that's always the interesting thing. It's like
Yeah.
what can you comfortably laugh at?
Yeah.
And like I grew up watching Mel Brooks movies
Yes.
and
Spaceballs all day long. Yes.
well, and it's so funny because because Blazing Saddles just turned 50 2 years ago. I took my mom to go see it for her birthday because they
Oh,
re-released it in theaters. And the whole discourse was like, they can't make this today. And I'm like,
yeah.
to be fair, the butt of the jokes are all the racist people. So I would hope that we would be able to
That's an
today.
interesting, yeah, that's a very interesting, an interesting thing. I also think we are so much more in our globalization. We're also so much more isolated in what we can and can't. I mean, that movie certainly did not need to cross the ocean in order to make its money and have a community here. And as we try to be like, can everybody like this? Which brought us to the end of the Marvel world, as far as I'm concerned. But we'll see. It's interesting to go, oh, okay, how do you find the common ground in things that you can poke and laugh
Well,
at? Yeah.
and I think at the end of the day, physical comedy sells to everybody
Yes, I agree.
because, and
Falling down is funny.
yep,
Although
like
not if you're in person. That's actually the one place it's actually deeply important to either be like on your phone, like giggling because they've posted it themselves, or in a darkened theater, right? It's not funny to laugh at a person when they fall over in the street, right? So I don't know. I should caveat. I just feel like.
as long as they're okay, then you can laugh at them afterwards.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
it's
Well,
that's
look, it's pretty amazing that they made a film completely successful and brilliantly successful, relying exclusively on the physical comedy. I always, when I watch
well,
a silent film, reminding myself the music is not the music that necessarily played with every single thing, that there wasn't a script for that maybe they were adding organ, maybe it was just truly
somebody was
silent. Yeah,
noodling
piano
at a
tinkling.
piano in the
Exactly.
theater,
Yeah.
as they were playing the movie.
Yeah.
Because if you want to see a lot of films like this from probably
Yeah.
like 1916 through the early 1920s, there was a lot of these 20-30 minute 1-2 reel comedies.
Yeah.
And then they finally evolved because you would see Chaplin started doing The Kid
Yeah.
and Gold Rush that
Yeah.
are a little bit longer. Buster Keaton had Steamboat Bill Jr. and
Hmm.
The General and Safety Last with Harold Lloyd.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because I'm going to be showing Modern Times for a movie night at work because it's business related.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
basically Amazon.
Yeah.
And we're
Yeah.
gonna talk about that.
Yeah.
But like I'm gonna show a bunch of 18, 19, and 20-year-olds a comedy from the 1930s that's an hour and 27 minutes, and we're gonna see how it
Yeah.
goes.
Well, but that film has so much political importance as well. I mean, it was really truly trying to say something, and that might be where things started to change.
Well,
I
and
don't know when that started to change, but compared to this
that's
one,
exactly why I picked that movie.
yes,
Um, and we're gonna have a lot to say because
yes,
when they start showing Chaplin being fed by the feeding machine so he doesn't have to take a
yeah,
break at work, I'm like,
here we
we
are.
see
Yeah,
you, Amazon.
yeah, yeah. You
They're gonna
billionaires
just
up
put
there.
just gonna put things on their over the necks of their employees with food in it. You don't have to
Yeah,
take a break.
yeah.
Just keep working.
Yeah, I will say that this film does not have as much social commentary as things as they sort of grew up and became
Yeah.
the place that you went to get information too. And that's certainly, it's been interesting. I've really enjoyed watching all of the films as award season comes up, and um, you know, uh, it's amazing how much more we expect today, right? Especially as
Mhm.
educated film goers who have a lot, however many years of film going experience to compare the next thing to. Of course we expect more than this, and it's really lovely to go back and see something so simple and so
Yeah.
elegant and so original, because it truly was the first of its kind, right? It was the birth of a new generation of how we let comedy get out there into the world. So I'm
Because you could
grateful
even
that
have,
you brought me on for it.
yeah, and we have stupid stuff like the Naked Gun today, but honestly, that still has a lot of commentary about police in it.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
like it's just like, oh,
Yeah.
going there.
Yeah.
But no, this is some basic good silly fun.
Yeah.
And everybody that we care about makes it out okay and they have money. So good for them.
Exactly.
Better than most of us.
Yes. Time for
But
another comedy revolution, guys.
there we go. Well, Anna, thank you so much for coming on and chatting some movies with me.
It's always a pleasure any old time.
And thank all of you for listening. Make sure to like, comment, and share on this episode. What's your favorite early slapstick comedy film to go check out? Are you a Chaplin type? Or are you a Keaton type? Or are you a Harold Lloyd type? My buddy Adam loves Harold Lloyd, so shout out to Adam. And make sure to follow or subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast. The SPDM Crew Podcasting Network is ever expanding. So many different shows with all types of interests, especially movies. So if you love movies, we've got plenty of those. And if you want to be a guest on a show just like this one specifically, because I do bring guests on this, or if you have an idea for a podcast and you want a place to start it up, reach out to us on our website. And if you like our logo, check out High Flyer Creative for all your digital marketing needs. But most importantly, thank you as always for tuning in and supporting the Wasteland Watchlist here on the SPDM Crew Podcasting Network.